Yes, so hello everyone. I'm here actually not in my role as a gamma ray astronomer, but in my role as not really the leader, but a member of the board of the German Vereinigung der Sternenfreunde, so the German Amateur Astronomical Association. And I'd like to pick up the ball from Thierry about so are there amateur astronomers in your country, and what could be ways to connect to them? And I'm very glad that I'll have the ability now to give you some ideas about that and some overview. Now, about the Vereinigung der Sternfreunde, very briefly, that's actually a society that has quite a tradition. It was founded in 1953. It operates as what we call in Germany eingetragener Verein. So this is legally a framework that is often used for clubs. But to give you a very famous example, the Max Planck Society, which is the foremost research organization, I'd say, in Germany, they also operate as an eingetragener Verein. So that's a quite flexible framework, and a lot of things can be done under this framework. It's the largest, I would say, amateur astronomical society in the entirety of Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. But this is not to say Switzerland and Austria, they have also very, very active amateur astronomy communities with whom we closely interact. So this is, of course, size is not a fits all. Germany has just a high population. Yeah, we have around 4,000 individual members. Now, on the one hand, this shows perspective because this is already a factor four larger than the German Professional Astronomy Association, the Astronomische Gesellschaft. On the other hand, this is, of course, only a very small fraction of all amateur astronomers in Germany. So this is also something to keep in mind. We talk about developing perspectives for pro and amateur science. This is also in the interest of the amateur astronomical societies because there is always an untapped potential of people fascinated about the universe that could still be motivated. And there is around 100 clubs, so local clubs as members of this society. And we are at the moment debating society internal about potential of a role as an umbrella organization. To give you an overview, those are the clubs here on this map that take part in this, that are members of this Vereinigung der Sternfreunde. And you see it's basically all over Germany. You see a bit of like the population centers, of course, the Ruhr area where I work. You see the Rhine-Main area. And then you see that we still like may struggle a bit to expand towards the northwest of northwest and northeast, especially of Germany. The northeastern part has often very, very good skies because there's not so high a population density, and this, of course, scales also with the number of clubs. Now, just to give an overview, some things that our members are interested in, and the most important thing, I would say, when interacting with amateur astronomers is always to see that we sometimes might have different perspectives on this entire thing, on the study of the universe. Yeah. While for us, most of us here, this is, of course, yes, it's something we love and it's something we put all our heart in, but it's also a job. So we do it with a huge amount of our time. While for amateur astronomers, it's often a hobby, and this has to compete with other hobbies and, of course, with their daylight job that they normally have. So that's a perspective to keep and will become important in a few minutes. So communication is a big thing about the clubs. Yeah, communication with other hobbyists and also, of course, communication with professionals. So they happen real world conferences and they happen also communication in digital formats. I'll give a few pointers in a few slides. Teaching and offers to the general public is important to many of our members. For example, the Vereinigung der Sternfreunde organizes the Astronomietag. The next one, so it's a German and German-speaking wide like day where we invite the general public to visit observatories, amateur observatories, and to get some perspective on what amateur astronomy is like and what is the thoughts that people have, where they struggle locally, where would they be interested in doing things. Next one will be 28th of March, 26. There is active publishing like effort going on. There comes like the Journal für Astronomie. So this is the club magazine, if you so will, of the VDS. But you see, it's a really, really with a lot of work and very nicely done magazine, which also serves as a bed to publish results that our members attain. And of course, and this is of special interest of here now, Many of our members do quite specialized research in areas where amateur astronomy can shine. So where amateur astronomy can, we would probably say, make competitive results to professional research. This research mostly that's organized in what we call Fachgruppen, so specialized like departments of society. You see a full list here. That's of course a lot. It's like 20 of these Fachgruppen because amateur astronomy, it has a huge span of what people are interested in. Yeah, there is some that like to build their own telescopes and polish their own mirrors. There is some that like to observe the sun or comets and so on and so forth. But I think of special interest for the topic of transient phenomena, now thinking about this workshop, and people here might be interested in, I think could be there's a Fachgruppe working on occultations, which offers the potential occultations mainly of stars by small bodies in the solar system, offering the potential not only for very precise measurements of asteroid diameters, but in principle also stellar parameters. There is a long-standing tradition to do variable star observing, sometimes decades-long, really high precision light curves being produced. This is can be an untapped treasure if you are interested in this part of, like, for example, development of massive stars. At some point, maybe we search the next galactic supernova progenitor. When the supernova happens, maybe this object is already for decades long been observed. Yeah? Spectroscopy, we just heard in Thierry's talk that there's fantastic opportunities still for amateur spectroscopy. And then we have a lot of people that do astrophotography and also visual observation, with, of course, every implication that comes with it. For example, potential supernova precoveries that can happen. Yeah. And there is relatively new an effort to do remote operation of a telescope in Namibia in this case. So there is an ecosystem of people that know about remotely operating, organizing operations, also technical solution for small telescopes, which probably can also be interested for interconnections. And now this is just to put some meat to that. That's a concrete example where I'm a bit biased because I was at some point a minor part of this effort, but just to show you what can be achieved today with data from telescopes like amateurs normally operate. This was not at core a project by the VDS, of course. It was a project by WebT, so by Rateri, Vilata, and all. The worldwide, the whole Earth Laser Telescope project, organizing basically around the world observations of blazars. But it's a nice example of what pro-amateur science nowadays can attain. This is a light curve of BL-Lac drawn from this paper by Svetlana Jorstad and colleagues here, Rapid Quasi-Periodic Oscillations of the Jet of BL-Lacerta, which was in Nature in 2022. And now you see, for doing that, for achieving this result, where you see indications of QPOs in this object, you need really a lot of coverage of a relatively bright object like a Spiel Lacerta. And some of these data points, of course, I mean, everyone only a small part in that because it's a worldwide effort in a way. A small part of these observations, they come here from a station that is here called Hans Hafner in Germany. And now that's actually one of the VDS Mitgliedssternwarten in Hedstadt here in this red circle. That's one very concrete example. Here in close cooperation with the school, this observatory is operated by a school and very, very engaged teachers and students there. But it's just one example of what can be achieved if professional science and the ability and the skills of amateurs come together. Now, yeah, and maybe the most important part here probably is now what could be options to engage with Vereinigung der Sternenfreunde or general with the German amateur astronomical community. Of course, there's a huge diversity. This has to be openly said. 4,000 people. Basically, all of them, they do astronomy as a pastime. And I already said they have a different perspective than we might have who do astronomy professionally. But many of them very cordially would welcome interaction and the opportunity to be part of something that's bigger than just putting your telescope in your backyard. So be part of something where really the human knowledge about the universe is advanced by some degree. I think the most important ingredient, and we could see this very well in Thierry's talk, which is an example, Rapaz, where this has really, really worked exceedingly well, is you need a very concrete idea of what is needed for a concrete specific question. And of course, how could amateur scientists then contribute to this? So mainly speaking data-wise, what data would be needed? What would be potential steps to attain this data? I think this is the starting point that needs to be developed. And then the next step, and for Astro-COLIBRI, this has already happened, if you so will, because at one of these annual meetings that are organized in the German community, the Würzburger Frühjahrstagen 2025, so this year, the date for next year, 14th of March, is already there. We had Ilya as a keynote speaker. So, and I think this was the starting point of people really getting also in the amateur community in Germany to know and talk about Astro-COLIBRI. There will be Bochumer Herbsttagen. This is not organized by Vereinigung der Sternenfreunde, but by close colleagues of us in Bochum, in the Ruhr area, in November, relatively soon. So if for some of you, there's an opportunity to go, there's a German language meeting, but maybe interesting. There is a forum, also German language, but English posts will work. And of course, there's always the opportunity to go into direct contact with us as a board of directors and then to develop like connections to the individual Fachgruppen or individual amateur scientists who could be interested in a specific topic. And so that's what I wanted to bring you here. And I think maybe something we can all think about for this workshop this week is maybe to turn the tables around. Yeah. So what could we as Vereinigung der Sternfreunde do to make Astro-COLIBRI, to make transient science, and to make pro-amateur science more well known and more attractive in our community for our members? I'll be very eager and very open during this entire week, and of course also after that, if you have any ideas to do that. So we are very, very actively reaching out for having more contact and having more involvement. So that's what I wanted to bring you here. Thank you.